Hi, everybody. It is November 17, 2024. Here we are again, united. Maybe, I think, I hope. Maybe not so much on the same page, but at least we come together once a day. Hi, hope you're all doing well. Oh boy, Angelos, an analog synth player, and Alicia DeMoss and Bronwyn Pinett. Hi. And Girl Interrupted, haven't seen you in a while. Hi, Andrew Cruz, Louisiana Skywatch. Barb in Ohio. Barb. You broke your toe. Okay. You are just feeling well from being quite sick, and now you've broken your toe and the bone in between. Ow. Okay. Hope you feel better. Again, Joni, Shauna Howard, hi. Crazy Pots, BMCC, Patricia White, hi. Did I say hello, Tony? Hello, Tony Punch, Oracle 11. Quick look at radar. We have no severe weather alerts, which is nice, huh? But look at this crazy happening in Washington. Seems to be, well, you got these extremely low frequencies up here, and this gets, well, it's kind of like hitting a wall, and then it evaporates. Very bizarre. It also looks like this, the yellow, the more rain is being pushed in the opposite direction. Anybody living in Northeast Washington, how's your weather there? How's the wind? Is the wind pretty strong? Yeah, our weather fronts really move quite quickly now, as you can see. Oh, I'm not even showing you guys. I can't believe it. Here we go. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Southeast Washington, right here. It hits a wall. This is still moving along into Idaho, but this, whoop, there's the wall. Here's the frequency. Here's another frequency. Here are a whole lot of extremely low frequencies, which pretty much go off, or they're emitted a whole lot right here in this corner, Northwest Washington. And, well, this looks pretty strange as well. Oregon, California have a lot of precipitation tentacles that immediately evaporate. Right there. Okay. All right. And as you can see, the weather front is moving quite quickly. You got some weather up here or down here in Texas and Oklahoma as well. New Mexico. Look at the frequencies down here with this right here, and suddenly develops a whole lot of rain for that area of New Mexico. But everything is moving very quickly. Got the supercells ignite. Well, we're gonna have to check. We will check our severe weather alert just to see if we've got severe weather now, because I didn't see those supercells igniting. No. Okay, very good. All right, but I'm going to put the link in because this is something that you might want to bookmark, check out, especially when you see those supercells ignite. Right here. Got a nice, extremely low frequency shot from Alabama into Tennessee. And wow. Hope you're all feeling okay. Silent Walk, hi. Ezra, hello. Hypocrites Matrix. So let's play this. You might have heard it before, but hey, doesn't hurt to listen again. And then, hey, circulate. Link is in the chat.
Bill Gates, the man who wants to control the weather and reshape the way that you live. I mean, down to you not eating meat. He wants to take down forests in order to cool the climate. He wants to block out the sun. I mean, this is literally what he wants to do. He wants to test vaccines, of course, on unexpected individuals. Like, he loves this stuff right now. And this isn't some conspiracy stuff. This is fact. This is exactly what he's been doing. It's happening right now, and it's connected to something much bigger than just hurricanes and climate solutions. So stick with me here on this. Reshaping the way you live through weather manipulation is what Bill Gates wants to do. So let's start with this. Back in 2009, Bill Gates puts his name on a patent for controlling hurricanes. Yes, you can't make this stuff up. On hurricanes, watch.
When you hear the name Bill Gates, you probably think Microsoft founder, but now the billionaire may be known as the hurricane tamer. Gates is listed as one of 13 inventors on a patent filed for hurricane prevention methods. Gates and his team plan to use a fleet of ships to cool warm surface water by mixing it with colder water from greater depths. They hope this will sap energy from growing storms, leading to weaker, less devastating hurricanes.
What could go wrong when Bill Gates becomes a hurricane tamer and does it under the auspices of trying to downsize the level of this?
He also wants to minimize the effects of the sun as well. That's another patent we've talked about. He actually has said that. This is not crazy talk.
It's not a conspiracy theory, okay? You got mainstream media on it. Mainstream media on it, okay? Mainstream media telling you. Okay, so what's wrong with your brains? Hello? Misinformation, disinformation? Are they conspiracy theorists? Mainstream media. What you listen to and then deny and then call everybody else a conspiracy theorist when they're just simply having a conversation with you, that's not very nice. Trail of destruction in the Philippines from super Typhoon Manyi.
For Filipinos, this may be starting to feel like routine. But it's no less frightening. Typhoon Manyi crashed into the Catanduanes Islands on Saturday. It flooded streets, knocked over power lines, and tore the roofs off buildings. This is the fourth storm to hit the archipelago in 2 weeks.
We evacuated because every time there's a typhoon, the water rises in the river nearby. We have children with us, and we're scared. That's why we evacuated.
Typhoons are common in the Philippines, but not like this. Back-to-back, high in intensity, and so late in the year. The Japan Meteorological Agency says it's unprecedented. And it's not over yet. Officials warn the ground is saturated, raising the risk of landslides in some areas.
We strengthened some of the houses, their roofing, their wall. Like hundreds of families have been protected that way. The Philippine Red Cross, they have activated their network of volunteers. Like Philippine Red Cross have more than 500,000 volunteers all around the country, and that network has been activated completely.
Look at this destruction. Look at these homes. Fourth major storm in 2 weeks, and it's unprecedented. Gee, I wonder what's, it's got to be climate change. That's right.
Operations can only avoid the worst, not reverse the trend. This region is one of the world's most vulnerable to climate change-related hazards.
Turkey. Now, Turkey had an earthquake.
Turkey continues to be rocked by successive earthquakes. Following the morning earthquake of magnitude 4.9 in Malaty's Doganchur district on November 15, an earthquake shook the Khamsin district of Rise. The magnitude of the earthquake that occurred at 12 p.m. in Khamsin was 4.7. The earthquake was reported to have occurred 12.85 kilometers underground.
Oh.
An earthquake of magnitude 3.0 occurred at a depth of 5 kilometers in the Goksan district of Kahramanmaraş at 11:12 a.m. on November 17.
Okay, so these shallow earthquakes, well, it is a signature of the HARP earthquakes, the extremely low frequency earthquakes. Doesn't necessarily mean that these earthquakes that are happening, wow, in many, many areas of the world with a frequency that I don't remember ever witnessing, doesn't necessarily have to be HARP or extremely low frequencies, but the shallowness kind of gives it, well, it begs questions. Over 100 families evacuated from the Jennings Creek wildfire in New York.
Breaking right now at 11, more than 100 families in Orange County are being asked to evacuate after the Jennings Creek wildfire jumps a containment line. We have the latest on the dangerous conditions fueling the flames. Good evening. I'm Jessica Moore. It was early evening when the first voluntary evacuation notices went out. Video shows flames burning a heavily wooded area near Greenwood Lake. The fire now threatening more than 100 homes. And with high winds and dry air still in place, the danger is far from over. We have team coverage of this breaking story tonight. Vanessa Murdoch is monitoring those winds and the ongoing drought. But first, let's go live to Jessie Mitchell. She is in Orange County with the very latest on how the fire spread so quickly. Jessie.
Well, Jessica, you can feel the winds out here on Greenwood Lake. Just across the lake, you can see the large swath of smoldering trees looming above 35 homes on Edgemere Avenue and 130 homes in Wattawa Park, which are now under threat. You see the distinct outline of flames in the forest, and the State Department of Environmental Conservation says they had all of this contained until the wind started shifting this evening. Voluntary evacuations began around 6:30 when the flames jumped their containment line, but then Warwick first responders started picking up the Edgemere Avenue families in buses after firefighters spent the day expanding the burn line to try to keep it under control and dropping 900 gallons of water from helicopters. The DEC says this fire has stayed primarily within the boundaries of the Sterling Forest State Park, but crews do not want to jeopardize anyone's safety. They also do not want a late flurry of people trying to flee if the fire grows closer, with the roads already congested with first responders vehicles. Now, those who have been evacuated are regrouping at Greenwood Lake Middle School. They are accepting pets. Anyone who needs help leaving their home, you're asked to call Warwick Police or Greenwood Lake Police, and everyone is advised to stay up to date on the latest developments on the.
Of course. I'm glad I got a comment from somebody underneath, I think, last night's video. And yes, they're a New Yorker, and they said, no, never seen this kind of these fires taking place. The drought is so bad in New Jersey, in New York, in Connecticut, that now they're having wildfires. Drought doesn't necessarily equate to wildfires. I mean, but here we are. So with this Jennings Creek fire that has been going for quite some time, now the evacuations start. I hope nobody loses their homes. Downtown Asheville businesses struggling, yes, calling for increased local support because of the hurricane. Well, we have an awful lot of people who still have their businesses and they're really hurting big time.
Topping our news at 6, downtown Asheville business owners say they need your support.
Nearly 7 weeks since Helene hit, businesses are open, but not enough people are actually coming in the door.
News 13's Taylor Thompson spoke to a few of those shop owners today and takes us through their struggle to get by.
I'm told that sales are down around 80% since Helene hit for a lot of these downtown businesses, which is only a growing concern for them as we head into what would have normally been busy season for these downtown shops. According to the North Carolina Department of Commerce, there are over 26,000 Helene disaster-related unemployment claims. Half of those claims, according to the Asheville Area Chamber of Commerce, are from Buncombe County alone. For downtown shops to not add to that number, they need your help.
We just, are ready to see some friends, old and new, down here supporting businesses.
Shining Rock Goods specializes in leather and stocked up on inventory, originally planning for a busy October.
There was a lot of investment ahead of that, and then to be 80% down or have 80% less people down here has been worrying.
Just a few blocks away is the Asheville Gallery of Art, exhibiting only local artists in their original artwork. And while the gallery has been open for weeks now,
it's been pretty quiet. Very quiet.
Leaving B. Adams emotional as she calls on support from the public.
For people to purchase work, I mean, you financially help the artist, but you help our spirit.
On the other side of town sits Honey Pot Vintage, where owner Sarah Legatsky says they're just trying to make it through the winter.
I'd be lucky if we hit like 50% of our regular sales.
She has a reminder for people as they hopefully head downtown.
Be really kind to all the service people that are here. Everyone's been through a lot, and we're still going through it in a lot of ways.
And again, downtown Asheville is open and in need of your business. Parking is also free right now, so if you're...
The ripple effects of disaster, they're wide-reaching. Okay, so I noticed this comment. T-Bird, 1963. T Port Angeles. Your channel was taken down? What was the reason that YouTube gave you? That's bizarre. Okay. Well, hello, T-Bird and Star Dante and Stack Stevenson. Hey, wildfire on my ass. You're right. Yeah. Tinfoil tiara. Yeah. Now, look, all of the people who lived up in the mountains, I don't know how many people were coming down to shop in these kinds of shops, but we have, the numbers are staggering, like tens of thousands missing still, a whole lot dead. And Asheville itself proper, there were areas that Asheville took a hit. So people need help, people need support. Businesses need support. One dead in Queens, house fire. I'm telling you, there are so many fires taking place, not the wildfire kind of fire, but apartment complexes, buildings, factories, recycling centers. It's like, what? Malls? Okay. Queens house fire now.
Good evening. I'm Jessica Moore. We begin tonight with breaking news in Queens, where a house fire has turned deadly. Firefighters say it started around 3 p.m. in the attic of a two-story home in Queens Village on 110th Avenue near Springfield Boulevard. Investigators say one person was found dead at the scene, a man in his 60s. It's still unclear tonight what started that fire.
Yeah, there's also that. Unclear, under investigation. I really am wondering about all of these fires. I don't know. Of course, houses had fires and apartments had fires, but we've not seen the kind of fires, especially with apartment complexes that are wiping out so many apartments. That's, yeah. And that it's going on all over the country, and more get displaced. And when you think about the economy and you think about, very few people now have friends and family, what's happening to all of these people? What's happening? So, Deep River house fire, Connecticut.
We're following that breaking news tonight out of Deep River. One person has died after a house fire. Our Caitlin Birchall is live from that scene right now. Caitlin, what can you tell us about what happened there tonight?
Hey, Kyle. So what we do know is first responders, they arrived on scene. This is West Bridge Lane. Two massive flames burning down a home. It's actually behind me, a little bit tucked into the woods, but I'm going to step out of the way so you can see what the scene looks like right now. And as you can imagine, concern grew when officials here learned someone who lives inside the home wasn't able to be located. Investigators are now confirming a resident of the home died in the fire, which started just after 6 this evening. Deep River firefighters and lots of local departments worked together to fight it. Now, state police fire investigators are on scene working with Deep River fire officials to figure out what caused this fatal fire. Meantime, we spoke to one of two neighbors who did whatever he could to put out this fire before officials arrived.
As soon as I walked out my back door, I seen flames, and I thought it was a leaf fire at first. I thought it was just like somebody had a bonfire, but it got a little carried away. So I was like, dude, that's a fire. So I ran, and as soon as I seen it was that big, I ran right to my fire extinguisher. I'm praying to God that he's not in the house, because I really was going to go in that house, but it was too hot.
Queens, by the way, that fire in the other broadcast was in New York. This is in Connecticut. One dead in Queens, one dead in Connecticut. Look, if you actually listen to my lives, you know that even last night I was showing you how many apartment and houses were going up in flames. Hollywood Strip Mall burns down. Nearby restaurants sustain major damage.
An explosive and dangerous fire tore through an auto parts store in Hollywood, then spread to nearby businesses.
Yeah, this broke out just before 4:30. This is at a strip mall over on the corner of Fountain and Highland. The smoke could be seen for miles as firefighters were fighting these flames. Chris Wolf joining us live from Hollywood now with more on the damage and a possible cause. Chris?
Just showing you fire after fire. Homes are shaking. Ohio. Homes. Middletown residents seek answers after claims of homes shaking. Okay. We do know frequencies, electromagnetic frequencies, going through the ground. Extremely low frequencies, those Gwen towers that are littered all over our country, could be a reason.
Mystery in Middletown. Multiple residents say their homes are shaking throughout the night.
Many have already started to speculate what it could be. So far, though, they've come up blank.
Brenda Ordonez has been following the story, and she's live after speaking with some of the residents in the city. So what do you think?
Well, Trisha, Megan, we haven't been able to track down a direct cause for the shaking. I did speak to city officials who tell me they recently got several reports of this happening, and they're still looking into it, saying at this point it's still too early to tell what's going on. Homeowners do tell me, though, that this has been happening for several weeks now, and they're starting to get concerned.
And it will rattle your windows at a certain point of it. And it's all night, ebb and flow, rumble, no rumble, rumble, no rumble. And you can feel like it's shaking the house.
The first time Amy McLeod says her Middletown home shook was in October. The second time was Wednesday night, capturing this video as evidence.
It's just almost like a low thunderstorm, but it does rattle, windows and, loose doors, metal.
Eli grew up in Middletown and lives about 5 miles from McLeod. He says he's also felt those vibrations that seem to linger throughout the night. Losing sleep, McLeod posted on Facebook for answers. Within moments, her post had dozens of comments from neighbors saying they've experienced the same thing and have the same questions.
And everybody's like, yeah, it's just this low rumbling. Some people's windows are shaking. Some people's animals are scared. Like the entire city seems to be all different angles wondering about the same thing.
And with unanswered questions come theories. Some say it could be Cleveland Cliffs, a steel mill that operates out of Middletown, or the blast furnace located on the site, noting sounds have ricocheted from this area in the past. But longtime residents aren't convinced.
The mill, the train, I hear everything, but this is like a new kind of thing.
We have all lived with these sounds all our lives, and we're familiar with them. This is new, and when it shakes your house, it's scary.
I reached out to Cleveland Cliffs to see if they've had any calls or reports related to this, but I'm still waiting to hear back. The city of Middletown says they are aware of the reports and are looking into it. McLeod says with no answers, she's not sure how to protect herself or her home.
And you're like, do we suddenly live where there's earthquakes? And do we need earthquake damage on our properties? I mean, I'm being kind of facetious, but I'm also being very serious. Like, if we're going to have this low rumbling that shakes our homes on a regular basis, that can't be good for anybody's house.
Yeah, she's quite right. Boring underground tunnels. Who knows? And my hunch is that they're probably not going to find a cause. Gilbert, did I show this last night? I can't remember, but this is pretty amazing. Can you imagine your home being flooded out with sewage?
And we begin in Gilbert tonight, where construction is underway on a fiber optic network with the goal of bringing high-speed internet to more communities. It's a massive project, but tonight, a family says that project has left their home covered in sewage. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. For 12 News at 10, I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. 12 News journalist Bianca Bono talked to that family as they try to get the mess cleaned up. You can just imagine. She joins us live in studio. And Bianca, this sounds like an absolute nightmare.
No kidding, it is. This family has now been displaced from their home because they said that the project essentially ended up forcing them to get out of their house due to all of that sewage. And they said it's all because of the company that was installing those fiber optic cables. Now they're still working to clean up their home.
I do get the irony. My last name is Flood.
Nicole Flood and her family dealing with a flood of their own.
It has been a nightmare.
This is the current state of their Gilbert home near Ray and Power Roads. Fans working to dry out the water and sewage that soaked the first floor on October 29th.
It was literally, we were in it.
The day prior, on October 28th, Flood had noticed markings on her street, meaning the town of Gilbert's fiber optic construction project was headed her way. The town entered an agreement with AT&T's fiber venture called Gigapower to provide high-speed network to the town. So it wasn't long before holes were dug up in her and her neighbors' front yards. Around 6 p.m. that Tuesday night, chaos ensued.
Flushed the toilet and it just exploded. We had to shop vac four entire shop vacs full of sewage out. It was coming out faster than we could even get it. It got to about 3 inches.
Quickly calling out a plumber who placed a camera into their pipe, realizing the sewage line had been drilled through, causing the line to break.
To know that you're in somebody else's waste and sewage, and like I said, I was covered head to toe.
They got an emergency hotel room, coming back the next day to talk to construction crews, recording their interactions.
So we're already working on that. So we're going to take care of you.
A sign in the neighborhood indicating the company conducting the work on behalf of Gigapower is called Tilson. And in these videos, a Tilson employee says they in turn hired a subcontractor to do the work who brought in another company.
Who is he?
He's the guy that's going to ultimately pay the bill. It's not the homeowner's problem.
But more than 2 weeks after the mess, it's clear it has become Flood's problem.
This is ground zero.
Flood, a teacher who has had to miss work, has paid more than $8,000 out of her own pocket to repair the pipe, and is still not back in her home, which now has flooring and walls completely torn out.
I'm really hoping that Gilbert and Tilson do the right thing.
When asked for comment, a Tilson spokesperson declined to answer specific questions about Flood's home, telling 12 News in a statement, "We work directly with homeowners whenever there is a potential damage claim related to our construction activities. Once we are notified of a possible issue, we prioritize investigating the situation to address and resolve any concerns as quickly as possible."
Do you think she'll get any of that money back? This too, all over the country, people, building homes, and the contractors are skipping out on them or doing lousy work and they can't move in. The amount of work where you have people, oops, sorry, we hit a water pipeline and now, you have the water just flooding out homes. It's like, come on, man, what the hell is going on? It does not seem that an awful lot can get worked on and completed properly anymore in our country. It's in the crapper. Well, that was a sewage thing. It's in the crapper. It is. It is, when you look at the big picture and you see an awful lot that's going on, you got to, realize we are a changed country. We're not living in the same country that we used to live in. Zillow's new tool claims to show the climate risk of homes. Oh, great. Well, a whole lot of people will look at that and not buy. That's going to be hurting those who want to sell their homes. Where's the climate risk when you have it up in the Appalachian Mountains that literally take out the hurricane, so-called, taking out towns, all of those homes destroyed? So where are the climate risks when you have a hurricane that comes into Western North Carolina? Do you see how easy it is for all of those involved in the great lie to screw people left and right? I'm not even going to play this. You can play it. I'll put the link in. Yeah, the ripple effect of that is not going to be good for an awful lot of people who want to sell their homes. Nearly 1,000 residents facing eviction from their mobile homes in Sweetwater, Florida.
Now to hundreds of families forced out of their homes as part of a mass eviction at the Lil Abner mobile home park in Sweetwater. Residents told they have just a few months to find somewhere else to go. For many, it's the only place they've ever called home. CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor has been talking to these families all day. He joins us live now with some of their stories. Yvonne?
That's right, Lauren. And for some of these families, this is indeed more than just home, because they're now being told that they have until May of 2025 to move. There are about 900 mobile homes at this park. They've been offered money, but many of them tell me it's more than just that.
So this is our very conservative home.
Karina Cuba gave CBS Miami a tour of a mobile home full of memories. It's where she grew up and now on the verge of disappearing.
It really breaks my heart that my mother has to leave her home of 42 years to go somewhere else. It's hurtful the way they did it.
On Tuesday, her mother, 82-year-old Nereida Cuba, and hundreds of other families were given a letter that says they have 6 months to get out.
They taped it with masking tape to the door. They didn't knock. They just put it on the door. What's interesting to me is it comes from the urban group, this one page, no signature.
The letter said residents who vacate by January 31st will receive $14,000. Those who wait until March 7th or April, less money. It was tough. One of the most difficult moments in my life, Nereida said in tears. It's tough because this is our roof. I moved here on a Thanksgiving Day in 1982. When we asked for an interview to the urban group, they responded with a letter that says, we understand the challenges that come with relocating, whether tenants are moving to another mobile home park or transitioning to brick and mortar housing. Residents who live in the mobile park home located at Northwest 112th Avenue and 4th Terrace in Sweetwater protested Tuesday night.
You may think this is too early, but what are you going to do?
Well, first thing is seek legal action.
Back out live, you are looking at pictures of people that are gathering at the same place where they were irate on Monday night when they received that letter of notification. Coming up at 6 p.m., we talk to Mayor Jose Pepe Diaz. What does the city plan to do to help these residents? That'll be
over 900. Over 900. They want this for other development. How do you do that? I can't imagine. I cannot imagine doing this to all of these families. Wow. But maybe they can buy a house from Walmart for $16,000.
This is 19 News.
Well, Walmart sells just about anything, and now you can add tiny homes to that list. Yes, you can buy one of these online with Walmart. These homes are only 19 by 20 feet. They have a 20-year lifespan. That's enough space for a living room, dining room, and a kitchen. That's according to Cherry Industrial, the manufacturer of these homes. Look at the floors, though. Those are nice. It'll cost you a little less than $16,000 for this tiny home. All you need is some land, of course, to build it on and an already built foundation.
Ruined my life. There are a lot of lives that are being ruined, and they don't get any kind of explanation or answer for why their lives are being ruined.
They're being asked to leave with no explanation. That's what business owners say they've been told by the owners of their downtown Portland building.
Fox 12's Carly Olson brings us the details of this shocking turn of events. She joins us live. Carly?
Well, Pete and Nora, several businesses occupy the Governor Building, which sits at the corner of Southwest Harvey and Milk Street and Southwest 2nd Avenue, including 2nd Avenue Records behind me, which has sat here for about 42 years. But regardless of how long they've been here, owners tell me that they have been asked to vacate the space by the end of the month. And what's more, they have no idea why. From the beats of a record to the feeling in the air.
This is one of the few things that keeps me in Portland is places like this.
A feeling they've sustained for 42 years.
I used to buy records from him when I was like 13 years old. I'm almost 50.
2nd Avenue Records has welcomed guests like Paul Dickow.
Since 1995, they'll carry cool local bands and they'll special order stuff, and
but also I come in here just to discover things.
But store owners shocked customers on Tuesday with a Facebook post announcing they're being asked to vacate the building and take up business elsewhere.
I got nervous that they would be totally displaced or forced to shut down.
When we arrived on Wednesday, we soon discovered that they were not the only ones.
I believe we were negotiating the lease. Then it became, we want you out of the building.
On the other side of the building sits Portland Arts Collective, a space for artists' gatherings and education formed by Aurora Josephson, the walls covered in her mother, Mary Josephson's art. But in early September, she was told she'd have to leave her carefully curated space by the end of the year.
Where am I going to go? It was hundreds of hours of work. You know, I would not have, absolutely not have signed a one-year lease knowing I had to leave in a year of doing all this work. It's just ridiculous.
Right next door, it's even higher stakes for tattoo shop business owner Dan White, who says he was told to leave just 3 months into his 3-year lease, literally landing him on the streets.
Wow.
This definitely ruined my life because of the hardships in my personal life from starting this business. I won't have a place to live. I'm pretty much back to square one.
The owners of 2nd Avenue Records tell me they're still unsure of next steps, but they hope community support will help keep them in business regardless of location. But for the smaller businesses on the other side,
I don't know if I can pull it off. It's like I have to do the whole thing again. It's disheartening, disconcerting.
It's not fair. This is my one shot. I don't get a do-over.
A 3-year lease and 3 months into it, get out. And they don't get to know why. Oh boy. Life is very, very, very difficult for a lot of people today. To say it's unfair is an understatement. Advance Auto is preparing to close 700 stores. 700 stores. Think of how many people will be laid off. Let's say they have 6 people, 6 employees, or maybe even 10 employees for every Advanced Auto store. You get the number? Okay, we're not doing very well. The economy is not swell. I just felt my heart drop. Mobis employee reacts to layoffs.
Continuing to track a developing story, cuts are coming to Toledo's Jeep plant and its suppliers.
As we have reported, more than 1,300 workers will be hit by these layoffs. Tonight, we are hearing from one man among hundreds scrambling to figure out what comes next.
I mean, it's family to me. It's been my family for the last, 12 years almost.
For the last decade, Paul Ripple has worked for Mobis on Stickney Avenue in Toledo. On November 8th, he and his fellow employees got the notice. Come January, more than 1,100 workers would lose their job at the Jeep plant, and 210 Mobis workers would be permanently laid off.
I was mowing the grass. I came in one day and I saw the text message and there was a warn notice. And I was like, I just felt my heart drop.
He says losing his job will be detrimental to his family and finances.
4 weeks of sub pay and then you're completely done. It took me and my wife a long time to save up money. Now we're at this great point, and now for me, I might have to start over again.
Bruce Baumhauer.
This is Jeep, Stellantis. They have so many layoffs, and now more in Toledo, 200 employees. Okay. Submit to mow. Submit to mow, rubber. 1,550 jobs. Well, that is 1,550 people losing their jobs. And it's very interesting because employers never, well, I shouldn't say never, but most never give any advanced notice. Just boom, you're laid off. You're going to work. You think everything's swell, everything's steady and stable. And you get to work and find out no more job for you.
Here in the town of Tonawanda, an absolutely devastating day at the Sumitomo rubber plant where 1,550 employees have been told that they do not need to come back to work because the plant abruptly shut down. We're told that the Japanese board for Sumitomo had a meeting on Tuesday. They decided to shut the plant down, and this is after a multi-year analysis of the viability of the plant here in Tonawanda. They ultimately made the decision that international competition was too difficult and it was best to shut down this 100-year-old facility. Now, before it was Sumitomo, it was Dunlop, and again has a long, rich history of manufacturing here in the North Towns. 1,550 people impacted by this decision. I spoke to many of them today. Just take a listen.
I'm very upset to be, I still wasn't notified yet, but I see you guys out here, so I know it's the real deal. Yeah, I'm very mad about this.
It's a lot of it didn't make sense, but this will blindside everybody. Everybody's just finding out this morning.
Like I said, it's just a sad day for myself and the rest of my coworkers that worked here.
Now, I am told that several members of upper management in Tonawanda did know that this was going to happen. Some of them have known for months. Now, if you look at the update website that was registered for the workers and the community for this Tonawanda plant, that was registered on October 9th. So somebody at the corporate level did know that something was going to be happening here in Tonawanda, but that never trickled down to the union. It never trickled down to state or local leaders, and it certainly did not trickle down to those workers who were impacted by this decision. So unfortunately, a lot of ripple effect this is going to have throughout the community because so many people were impacted. Now, workers will be paid 60 days of wages and be given a full year of medical benefits on the dime of Sumitomo Rubber. They won't have to pay any additional money for those benefits. Now, there will be additional bargaining between the union and Sumitomo beginning on November 13th, and we're not sure how long that could last. This is, of course, going to be a developing story for the next coming days and weeks, and we will, of course, stay on top of it to the best of our ability.
And people are being treated with such profound disrespect. You work at a company for 20, 25 years and then slapped in the face. You no longer have a job. We're going to send a text message. We'll, I guess I'm going to come to work. I see the news cameras around. Wow. Come on, man. Well, to those who are young, employers used to take care of their employees in our country decades ago. Yeah. Now it's a whole new ball game, and it's unfortunately the rules of the ball game only extend to the top. At the bottom, the people don't get to make any of the rules. You just have to be subjected to whatever rule those at the top bring to you. It sucks big time. Boy, I would love to be able to spend some time going through, and it would never, be an exclusive, or inclusive number, but just to find out how many people have lost their jobs in 2024, just in our country alone. And 2025 is going to be worse. Okay, so with all of these people losing their jobs, a whole lot closing down, whether they're stores or factories, or where are the jobs for all of these people? There aren't any. There aren't any. Which means that a lot of people, I so wish we had community. because those community members could reach out to one another and try to figure out, how to survive this, this one agenda, which is the destruction of the U.S. economy. But we don't, right? Maybe in these small towns where you have, 1,550 people losing their job, and they all seem, pretty tight, close-knit. Get together, sit down, think of something, because I'm afraid you're not going to be able to find a job comparable to what, you were being paid there. Maybe you can find 4 other jobs, but in these small towns, really? All right. I've never seen Happy Duck before, and I'm watching the comments. And of course, it's around Christmas time and the holidays. And all right, JPL announces another round of layoffs.
Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena announced today it's laying off 325 workers. The move affects about 5% of its workforce as JPL continues to deal with budget concerns. Back in February, JPL laid off more than 500 people after a cut in federal funding. And this latest round of cuts is expected to impact essentially all areas of the lab.
And I wasn't really paying attention to the second time my listening to the broadcast. But did she mention that prior to this layoff, there was a layoff of 550? The big layoffs now, oh God, can I even remember? GM, 1,000. Boeing, 17,000. The tech industry, you have an awful lot being laid off. Manufacturing hit another month of contraction. We're in the crapper. Big time. Union sues PepsiCo over abrupt closure of their Chicago plant. Yeah, well, who cares about these people? We don't. Abruptly shutting down its warehouse in Chicago's back of the yards neighborhood. 200 employees. Goodbye. Right? And I want to recommend Mother Trucker. I would subscribe because he lets you know what's happening in the trucking industry. Does the trucking industry, is it important for you? Yeah, very. Okay. They're the ones bringing all of your products and foods and, okay. But he's talking about the PepsiCo shutdown and all the truck drivers laid off.
Truck drivers get in the morning, see a whole bunch of security. Next thing you know, they're pulled to the back. Can you imagine working there 20, 30, 40 years? And they say they're shutting down the facility. We're sorry. We're going to pay you till December 28th. But we're sorry. We didn't tell you any earlier. You're going to find out today. And they shut down the facility. And now all these people are lost without a job. So many truck drivers, so many employees, warehouse people. And it's just sad. And the reason why is because they say it's an old building that has limitations. Let's get into today's video. Crazy, but I just have to share it and just let you know what's going on in the truck industry.
I'm in shock, basically, because I didn't think this was going to happen. We were given no notification, and just I'm working Friday, and then can't come to work Monday.
They told us that the plant is not doing good. There's other facilities around that's going to be closed.
I love this job. I was here early every single day. At 1 o'clock, first vehicle you seen roll through here was my truck.
Oh man, that sucks. It's more than sucks. No, wait, what's a good word for it? These people are being just sideswiped left and right by employers. Multiple, not just one, right? Chicago, Ohio, California. They don't like you. Your employers don't like their employees. The politicians don't like who they represent. And that's why we needed to band together. But a whole lot of us don't like each other. So we're kind of screwed. Now, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. Make America healthy again. RFK Jr., who will be the incoming Secretary of Health and Human Services. Okay. McDonald's, Coke. This is such a sick picture here. And Donald Trump Jr., on his tweet, he captioned this picture as saying something about, we'll get healthy tomorrow. Tomorrow in capital letters. Let's see if there's the tweet here. Okay. What, look. He talks about how poisoned our food is. It's a joke. I mean, look. This is not the kind of example that you want to be setting for the American people. And it sure is not the kind of example that you want as your health secretary to be eating poisonous food, drinking poisonous soda. And he is the one who's talking about we have to make Americans healthy again. Holy shit. Well, it does not set a good example at all. And why did they do this? Why? To prop up the fast food industry? Their stocks were, cratering. Oh. I don't get this country. I don't understand. But here, 3-minute video. Let me play it for you. As if Robert Kennedy Jr. doesn't know that McDonald's, that's not healthy food and it makes Americans sick. But hey, go and put out a picture for the world to see you stuffing your face with McDonald's.
We are getting destroyed, and it's very recent. And
sorry, hang on.
We are getting destroyed, and it's very recent, and it's accelerating. The stats speak for themselves. You know this very well. 74% of Americans are overweight or obese. 50% now of American adults have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. These were diseases where there was 1% of Americans in 1950 had type 2 diabetes. Now it's 50% of Americans have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. Alzheimer's dementia are going through the roof. Young adult dementias have increased like 3 times since 2012. So early onset dementias, we're seeing this 1 in 2 Americans are expected to have cancer in their lifetime now. 1 in 2, and young adult cancers are going up 79% in the last 10 years. We've got, of course, the autism rates are absolutely astronomical. 1 in 36 children has autism now in the United States. That was 1 in 150 in the year 2000. And in California, where I live, it's 1 in 22, 1 in 22 with a lifetime neurodevelopmental disorder. We've got infertility going up 1% per year. 25% of men now under 40 have erectile dysfunction. A quarter of the country. This is fundamentally a metabolic disease. We've got 77% of young Americans can't serve in the military because of obesity or drug abuse. We've got autoimmune diseases. Some studies are saying they're going up 13% per year. It's really unbelievable. And I could go through so many more diseases. Of course, we've got heart disease, which is almost totally preventable, as the leading cause of death in the United States, killing around 800,000 people per year. And I think as I kind of just looked around, and again, these are just statistics, I started trying to put the pieces together. Why is this happening? Why are these all going up all at once? And that led me on what is now a 7-8 year journey, ultimately leaving the surgical world, putting down my scalpel forever. Because what I realized is that when you go to the science with a root cause perspective, you go back to PubMed with a slightly different perspective, not how do I treat these diseases once they emerge, but why are they happening? You see a very obvious blaring answer, which is why we had to write a book about it, which is that it's all caused by metabolic dysfunction, a term that I never learned in medical school. I learned about metabolic syndrome and the different individual diseases that make it up, but there is a problem. There is a fundamental breaking of our core cellular biology that is caused by our diet and the world we're living in, the modern world we're living in today, that is crushing the very way that the human body and our human cells can transmit food energy to life energy, to cellular energy. And so our bodies are essentially, fundamentally, because metabolic health is how we make energy in the body, the way that our environment is now synergistic to storing our metabolic health, and the science is very clear about this, it's basically like all of us are a little bit dead while we're alive. That's what metabolic dysfunction is. It's less energy in the body. We're underpowered. And that's very dark.
I will put the link in the chat. Might want to circulate it, but when you think about the economy, the weather terrorism that is taking place, when an awful lot of people are desperately needing good health and energy, because circumstances demand it for them. We're in the crapper. That's why an awful lot of people need help. More and more are going to be needing help. 1 in 2. When I grew up, when I was a kid, cancer. It was so rare that people didn't even like to say the name, to say the full word cancer. They would say they have the C, just the C. They never even liked to say cancer. Now 1 in 2. All right, well, something's very wrong, right? Yes. Now, let's just look at another agenda that is taking place, which is also purposeful. Yes, people do engage in crime and, really just the violence, but a whole lot of it is purposeful, especially when you have the police who are arresting people for what you're about to see. And, well, they might arrest, but then release back into the street somebody who's just stabbed somebody. Mother arrested because 10-year-old son was walking alone. This is in Mineral Bluff, Georgia. Okay? Now, I thought Mineral Bluff, Georgia, that sounds familiar. It is very familiar. When I was living in Georgia, I had to go through Mineral Bluff, which was literally a blink of an eye. It's that small to go to the recycling center, the dump. Mineral Bluff is so tiny that it's like I drive through and I think, I was just kind of wondering, what do people do here? Dollar General, post office, an automotive store. There's no stoplight. It's just a stop sign at the corner, but that's the corner of Mineral Bluff. Okay. Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. And it's truly amazing, when you know these areas and you see what happens in them. And it's like, are you flipping kidding me? All right. No, not kidding.
Welcome once again to
Wrong. What are you doing to me? Oh, shit. I didn't want this. All right. We'll do this.
Good morning to both of you. Thanks for your time this morning. Just first off, Brittany, traumatic for children to see a parent put in handcuffs and taken away. How are they doing in the aftermath of all this?
They're doing okay.
But I imagine a very emotional week for all of you. Set the scene for us on that day. Why was your son walking alone? And is that something that's normal for your kids and other kids in town?
It is normal for kids to be walking around Mineral Bluff. It's a four-way stop, very low traffic. And my kids often will play out in our woods. We have a lot of acres, and so they do walk around our neighborhood. He just decided he wanted to go to the Dollar General that day, and it's, not uncommon for kids to do. So I don't understand why there's been such a uproar about it, I guess.
Yeah. I understand you were at a doctor's appointment with one of your older children when you got the call from authorities, and then hours later, here's the video. Sheriff's Department sent it to us last night. You're put in handcuffs. What was going through your mind when you were being put in handcuffs in this moment, Brittany?
I was shocked. I was angry, frustrated.
Oh.
Probably all those things at once, but mostly I was just trying to be calm for my kids because I didn't want them to worry.
Mm-hmm. David, we reached out to that Sheriff's Department last night. They sent us this video, but they said they're not going to comment on this case right now. What has Brittany been charged with, and are you now suing the authorities that are involved here?
Well, we're not suing them yet. She has formally been charged with reckless conduct. What's interesting is when the deputy arrested her, as the body cam shows, Brittany asked, "What am I being arrested for?" And the deputy says, "Reckless endangerment." Well, there is no such law in Georgia. Secondly, in 1997, the Georgia Supreme Court held that statute unconstitutional when applied to parents because it doesn't tell them what is and isn't permissible and constitutes reckless conduct. So it's really problematic for those two reasons. I found it very interesting, and your viewers should. The deputy, Britt asked, "Well, he's 10. Can he walk into town?" And that's not illegal. And the deputy responds, and the audio here would say, "Yes, it's illegal for a 10-year-old to walk into town." And it clearly is not. So it's that kind of authoritarian, my judgment rules your judgment as a parent. And the notion that it's not safe, I've said before, if you don't think it's safe for people to walk on the shoulder of the road, and by the way, much of the road, there is a sidewalk, well, put up a sign that says no pedestrians allowed. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, when I first heard this story, I grew up in Ada, Oklahoma, and we walked all over all the time. So this has caught the attention of a lot of people across the country. Brittany, I understand that authorities have offered to drop the charges if you sign a form that outlines a safety plan, you delegate a safety person to be with your kids at all times when you're not present, and you say no to that. Why?
Well, first of all, because there's been no guarantee that they will actually drop the charges. All that was relayed to me, and this was not directly from the DA, is that they might, or that's probably what would happen. And so, you know, it's really hard for me to agree to anything when there's no guarantee of what's going to happen. And also, by signing that safety plan, I feel like I'm agreeing that my home and that my parenting choices are not safe. And I just don't agree with that.
Yeah, David, what do you say about that plan that they've offered her?
Well, first
I'm
of all,
sorry, can you say that again?
Oh, I was just asking David kind of what his thoughts on that deal are.
It's labeled or titled safety plan, but it doesn't make this child or in any situation more safe. It just says she will download a GPS app to his phone with somebody watching her do it and will monitor him.
GPS.
That doesn't make him more safe. He is wherever he is. If you have a teenager in a car and you have a device in the car, you know where they are, but you're not controlling whether they're more or less safe. So it's a misnomer. It's a pretend, hey, we're going to make the child safer. And
Or make the child less safe. A GPS tracker on a 10-year-old boy. Okay, this mother better not do it. And she said in another news broadcast, which was a more recent one, she said she's absolutely not going to do it because she didn't do anything wrong. But driving through this, it's like, you saw kids, very few, but you would see kids without their parents. It's no big deal. Holy shit. All right. Well, we've got a problem in our country. My hunch is that other parents in Mineral Bluff will come out in support, but that they actually have, that this takes place, Now she's got to hire an attorney. And you're kidding me. This kid looks quite capable of taking care of himself in Mineral Bluff. What, do parents now have to have a leash on their kids and be walking behind them wherever they go? Drives me nuts looking at this stuff. And Maui fire chief arrested for child abuse. Maui fire chief arrested for child abuse. And how many children went missing in Lahaina?
And that breaking news, new details in the indictment of a Maui fire chief charged with sex assault and continuous sexual assault of a minor. The new court documents say Battalion Chief Sean Rogers began abusing the victim in 2019 when she was about 12 years old, and the alleged assaults continued for about 2.5 years. Rogers, who is 52 years old, turned himself in today after a warrant was issued for his arrest last week. Rogers is a 25-year veteran of the Department of Fire and Public Safety and was the incident commander during the August wildfires. Today, MFD Chief Brad Ventura said in a statement, "We are deeply concerned about the allegations. Mr. Rogers is not scheduled to work this week, and we will continue to evaluate this situation as more information is available."
All those missing children. Church of England, the head of Church of England, resigns over a pedophile scandal. He married Harry and Meghan, and he officiated the coronation of King Charles III and the funeral of the Queen. He said he's stepping down over the revolting crimes of then church camp operator John Smith, who is no longer alive. But wait, something interesting. An independent probe into the sick scandal that was released Friday quote, has exposed the long-maintained conspiracy of silence about the heinous abuses, unquote, that Smith, who died in 2018, committed in Britain and South Africa. As many as 130 boys and young men in Britain and Africa are believed to have been sexually abused by Smith, who operated the children's camps connected to the Church of England, which Welby led since 2013. Welby is the leader of the church. Okay. When I was informed in 2013 and told that police had been notified, I believed wrongly that an appropriate resolution would follow. That's what he said in 2013. But this went on and on and on, the abuse. Wow. So did you not think about it since 2013 and now you're stepping down in 2024? How many children suffered the abuse in the meantime? He said, it is very clear that I must take personal and institutional responsibility for the long and re-traumatizing period between 2013 and 2024, whether it's the Protestant Church or the Catholic Church or politicians or celebrities. What is it with these sick things that love to abuse children? Like this guy, right? The hell? And why can't the world's people get it stopped? Well, I have to stop turning a blind eye to it. Germany, police raid a pensioner's house and drag him to court after he retweets a meme calling the Green minister an idiot. That's it. Okay. Massive police repression in Germany as war against free speech and basic human rights ratchets up under left liberal government. 64-year-old pensioner retweeted a meme of the Green Economy Minister Robert Habeck, in which Habeck was described as an idiot. The crime was recorded as politically motivated right-wing crime. Okay, yeah, well. Germans, do you realize what's going on in your own country? I'm sure a lot of you do. Raided a house of a pensioner, 64, for a retweet, right? And here, how about this? Hacked to death with a machete, 6 months in jail. 6 months? Try posting a mean tweet on social media and you'll get a year-long jail sentence, if not longer. The UK. Agony from mother of teen killed in machete attack after learning one of his killers will be released after just 6 months due to prison overcrowding under new labor scheme. Who's in the prison? Who? Might you have some illegal migrants in prison? Crazy. Crazy. I can't even go there right now. I can't go there right now. A woman stabs boyfriend in neck. Okay, fighting with your boyfriend, fighting with your girlfriend has really taken on a whole new character today.
Hey, clear the shop out. All right. Okay.
All righty. People are very quick to become very violent. Man accused of choking woman to death. She walked out of a hotel in New York City. A man choked her to death.
Talking about a 23-year-old woman, police telling us that she was stalked by a man that she didn't know as she was walking on the sidewalk here. We are outside of the Plaza New York Times Square Hotel. This is just off of 8th Avenue. It is near Times Square, but it is actually in Midtown. And they are telling me that this man had a long criminal history. Go ahead and
Oh, yeah, I had a long criminal history. And now he's put back on the street and kills a 23-year-old. "17-year-old, 19-year-old shot outside an Upper West Side in Manhattan McDonald's. When I lived on the Upper West Side in the 80s, this never happened. New York is not the New York that I once knew, once lived in, and loved.
We're following a developing story on the Upper West Side. 2 people were shot outside a McDonald's at a 71st Street and Amsterdam Avenue location. Police say a 17-year-old man was shot in the leg. A 19-year-old was shot in the shoulder. Both are expected to be okay. Police are still searching for the suspect.
God. Yeah. Lovely police in, I want to say Oklahoma City police slam a 70-year-old bone cancer patient headfirst, leaving him in the hospital with a skull fracture.
Not like that. Sit down. No. You sit down. Get on the ground.
Wow. All righty.
Not like that. Sit down. No. You sit down. Get on the ground.
Thugs in a uniform. And this is also a crime. Look at this. All right. Team Harris Walls. Please let us explain Harris Fight Fund. They actually had the audacity to ask for donations after they lost. First and foremost, we want to acknowledge the fear, confusion, and sadness many of you are feeling at this moment. For others, you may be looking for something meaningful and important to channel your emotions toward. If that's you, then we're asking you to make a donation to the Democratic Party today. Here's why this request is so important. All right, I absolutely shameless, but I thought this came after the election. She is $20 million in debt. So I might be wrong on that. More than 600 sober drivers arrested for DUI in Tennessee. The police are arresting people for DUIs when they're completely sober.
Miscarriage of justice.
Sober drivers charged with DUIs are reacting in shock to what WSMV4 Investigates has uncovered tonight. Good evening. I'm Lauren Lowry.
I'm Tracy Cornett.
And I'm Marius Payton. As part of our sobering problem investigation, we've analyzed never-before-seen TBI data.
Chief Investigative Reporter Jeremy Finley found more than 600 Tennesseans have been arrested for DUI and were completely sober.
It's something you notice almost immediately.
Good morning.
In the body camera footage of officers approaching Xavier Gray.
Go ahead and turn the car off for me, okay?
His hands are in the air.
First of all, I'm scared of the police.
You got anything to drink tonight?
No, sir. But Gray, like so many other drivers who've spoken with WSMV4 Investigates, wasn't concerned at first.
Well, I'm gonna run you through some the field sobriety test, just make sure you're good to drive and everything, okay?
Oh, yeah. I know I'm not under the influence of anything.
And he thought he performed well until this.
I'm placing you on the register for driving under the influence, okay?
Huh? I don't even drink or anything. That's crazy. I work for a living driving a dump truck, and this is what I do. This is my whole livelihood. I was really afraid about losing my license.
Gray is the latest person we found to be charged with a DUI whose blood work would come back showing he was completely sober. For months, we've been emailing back and forth with the TBI, asking for blood work data that shows just how often it's happening in Tennessee. And it turns out we weren't the only ones asking.
I've seen the news stories that you all did.
State Representative Lowell Russell had seen our sobering problems investigations. And after one of his constituents was arrested for a DUI, while he was completely sober, he asked the TBI for the data as well. After months of requests, the TBI finally produced the data. Turns out it wasn't dozens, but more than 600 Tennesseans, 609 to be exact, innocent drivers, totally sober, charged with DUI. For perspective, if all of the sober drivers charged with DUI went to the Ryman, they would take up more than half of the seats in the upper balcony.
I just wonder what you think about that. It's a miscarriage of justice. It seems like they're doing it everywhere around Tennessee, man.
Nobody wants drunk drivers on the road, ever. But what does it say that we keep finding sober people being arrested for DUI?
I have heard of those on a very, very limited scale, and those are, of course, tragic for everyone involved.
Tragic cases that lets drivers like Gray know he is hardly alone.
You know what's so scary is just thinking about how hard I work to stay out of trouble, right? And then to have something like this happen.
And it could really ruin people and ruin their reputation, and they're completely sober. They could have, their employer fire them. What is it? Because people are just so like these maniacs who put on, not this guy, but the police. I got the badge. I got the power. I'm going to do it. What the hell? Oh, God. Being drunk doesn't affect everybody's balance equally. They weren't even drunk. 6 vehicles shot, 1 person hurt on I-40. So now here's another one. Interstate shootings taking place.
All right, some breaking news tonight. Police are releasing some new details about 6 vehicles that were shot and 1 person who was hurt along Interstate 40 over the span of the past 3 days.
CBS 17's Sonica Bargo joins us live in Raleigh. And Sonica, what have you learned?
Rod, Angela, well, police do tell us they believe some of those 6 incidents are connected, but right now they have no suspects. Just before 5 a.m. Wednesday, officers responded to reports of a car hit by gunfire along I-40 near the Chapel Hill Road exit. Officers say while investigating, more people came forward reporting their cars had been hit. That made 3 more cars hit by shots. No one was injured Wednesday, but this comes just 2 days after a woman was shot in the leg inside her car on I-40 near Chapel Hill Road. Police say she is still in the hospital and her injuries are non-life-threatening. Another car also hit Monday morning.
We are incredibly fortunate and thankful no one was injured in today's incident. However,
We recognize that these events are extremely concerning and frightening to those that travel on that stretch of highway, and we are taking these incidents very seriously.
A middle school student shoots self on school bus. This is in Florida, St. Petersburg. Yeah, things have changed. Things have changed big time in our country.
A 13-year-old girl is recovering after a shot rang out on a school bus in St. Petersburg. Good evening, I'm Keith Kate.
I'm Jennifer Lee. Thank you for joining us. Police say the girl brought the gun onto the bus and shot herself. No one else was hurt. This happened as the bus, which was filled with students, approached the intersection of 18th Avenue North and 49th Street North. News Channel 8's Melissa Marino has the very latest on the investigation.
That girl is being treated here at All Children's Hospital for a gunshot wound, police describing it as a very serious injury. Detectives now working to figure out what exactly happened. A shocking sight, a bullet hole on the side of a school bus.
There was a pop on the school bus and someone started yelling someone was shot. So the school bus driver drove about a block, saw a police officer and flagged him down.
We're told a 13-year-old girl shot herself on the school bus carrying 20 students on their way to Tyrone Middle School this morning.
We don't know if it was accidental, what the circumstances were, why she had the gun on the bus.
Thankfully, police say no other students were hurt. At the school today, an increased police presence and plenty of concerned parents.
My son is a bus rider, so my first thought was, oh my God, what was that? If it was his bus. And then the school called back saying it wasn't his bus, but still.
Teresa Tomlinson picked her son up early because of the incident. Now she wants answers from the school.
What kind of answers can you get? I don't. Oh, we're in the crapper. Ugh. Yeah. It's very thick. It feels like a quicksand that's just pulling us, sucking us down. Happy Sunday night. All right. Max needs help getting the mud out of his house. He lives in Western North Carolina in the Appalachian Mountains. Anyone else living close to, I don't know what town, Max, but he needs that help. He's also going for cancer treatment. And yeah, you can't do these. You can't do everything alone. And people need help. People need help. And I think you have children, Max. Where are they located? Anyway, if anybody is close enough, please, contact Max, Maximus 3.0, his channel. All right, guys. Yeah, let's create community. Let's bring our best self to life. Let's help those in our community, the elderly, the animal shelters, the food banks, live honestly, speak honestly. Be that trustworthy human being that so many people desperately want, but they're lacking in our society, and we need to bring that back for sure. And on that note, be safe, everybody, and thank you for showing up, and I hope to see you tomorrow night, and good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.